today's video I'm going to be doing a soft smoky eye look on my auntie here. She's back again and I hope you're going to enjoy. I'm going to take you through what I'm doing step by step. When I start a makeup, I like going over and just making sure that the skin is nicely fresh and cleaned or cleansed in preparation before the makeup. It really depends on the skin that I'm working on. I will kind of tailor the products accordingly really, and on this occasion I just went over with some Marcella water on cotton pads, and I do like the material cotton pads as well. I've also got those in my kit that I will use, but for me it's about the skin and it's really about prepping that skin. And I think in order for a makeup to look its best, it is really about going in and making sure the skin is also its best that it can be. And I'm going in with a really nice moisturiser here and working that cream into the skin with a nice relaxing massage. And you can see here I'm using some really nice lymphatic drainage movements on the skin, along with just helping bring the blood to the surface of the skin as well. I really enjoy this part of the makeup. I always find it's a really nice connection between me and the model that I'm working with or client, and it just really means that they're in a really nice, comfortable, relaxed state before doing the makeup. You can see here that I'm really massaging around the skin. When I was training, I started off training as a beauty therapist because when I was at school there were no courses at all that were tailored to makeup straight from school to college. I originally wanted to go and do an apprenticeship with the BBC. It's quite a long time ago now, and then by the time I came to finish school they were no longer offering them, so I decided to go and study beauty therapy and hairdressing, and before going and studying in London, the London College of Fashion, with my media and fashion makeup. So I do think that it's really helped with that element of knowing about skin. You can see here by the end of this particular massage my auntie was very relaxed, and I think at one point she would have quite easily nodded off. And then when I go back in, you can see here that I'm just going back in and just really making sure that all of that, leftover sort of moisturiser and the residue of the moisturiser is really synced into the skin. And I like then working in a little bit of this particular foundation is a serum based foundation, so it's very, very lightweight. You can see here that I'm merging it just into the centre of the face initially, and then building up upon the application. It is better to go in with kind of light layers and layer the makeup, and I think certainly as we get older it's really about, or even younger, if you've got younger skin you really don't need to be going in and putting heavy makeup on, unless it's obviously for a particular look that you're going for, then absolutely you can go in with more makeup. But the idea is so that it looks like it's part of your skin, and you're really doing those really nice natural light layers on the skin. And then what I like doing is obviously to initially gauge what I'm doing with the skin. I like going in with the eyebrows and just really can see here that I'm doing really soft, fine strokes. And it does depend on, you know, the natural brow colour, dependable on what sort of shade I'll go for. Sometimes I mix a couple of shades together so that it doesn't look too much of a block of colour. And then for the eyes, I really like going in with, here on this particular occasion, I'm going in with a cream eyeshadow. But I think as well with eyelids that in order for the eyeshadow to really last, that you are better going in and priming the eye out with either an eye primer, or as I'm doing here, going in with a cream eyeshadow and building that up. And obviously you can just go in with a cream eyeshadow on its own, but I like working in a slightly deeper cream shadow. That's what I'm doing here in between the lash line, just working that in and softening that down. And this really makes sure that the eyeliner is looking softer. So, and I will be going in with an eyeliner shortly, but this will act as my little base, and then really merging that in between, making sure that you are, you know, going in between that lash line, because what can happen is you can open the eye and there'll be a gap between. So it's just really making sure that you're merging it in between that lash line and really blending and also softening it out, because we're going for a nice soft smoky look here. And you can see here that I'm getting my model to open her eyes so that I can gauge where to kind of lightly map out and sort of contour with that cream eyeshadow. And I'm just building up the colour and working back in as well. So here I've decided to go in with a powder shadow to kind of really intensify it a little bit more. You can equally do this with a cream shadow as well. There's lots of formulas out there that are great for doing this, but I've decided to go in with a deeper colour and going in with a powder just to really merge that along the lash line, and then working in over the top and in between the lashes. You can see that I'm doing that with really light, gentle stroking actions as I'm doing it. And what is really important as well is to work that colour underneath and working it sort of in between. What you don't want to do is create too much of a harsh sort of line under there. It's about going in and really shading the eyeshadow underneath and going in and working that in. You can see straight away it opens up the eye really beautifully. And I will always go back in and make sure that both eyes is the same as eyebrows. You know, we are balancing the face out. None of us has a symmetrical face, so it's about going in and really balancing out that eyeshadow and working that in. And you can see that I'm really layering the eyeshadow. And you can see here that just getting that balance right and blending one side a little bit more so it's in balance with the other eye. But I would also point out that obviously due to my lighting, and it does kind of soften out the eyes a little bit more. In person this looked a little bit more sort of intense, but on camera it's giving this really nice soft kind of silhouette smoky look to the eyes. And then what I like doing is making sure that when you're working in the waterline area, that you're going in with a really nice soft pencil, so that it doesn't feel really harsh along that line, and so you're getting the depth of colour when it goes underneath. You can see here that it really takes it to that sort of next level, that little bit of vavavum, which I love with a smoky eye, softening it out, and then repeating the same on the other eye. Be able to see in a minute, just working a little bit in the waterline and then above, the same way that I did the other eye. Here's really making sure that that pencil's nice and soft, and then doing this bit a little bit quickly so it doesn't feel too uncomfortable. You can see there. And then off camera I curled the lashes, and then I'm going in just to the roots of the lashes with some mascara, and then making sure that I'm really taking that mascara then to the ends and just really wiggling that spoolie and creating that definition and that curl there. What I am doing here is just really making sure that I'm softening out any concealer, foundation, and I like to go back in and retouch the areas and lightly blend and layer a little bit of that concealer, just really softening it out in those areas, but equally making sure that it's also lightly covered. I don't want it to look like it's on the surface of the skin. I really want to make sure that it feels like it's part of the skin, and I'm just blending here, you can see. Underneath the eye area, I'm just really softening it out. I do like that sort of look with a smoky eye, that it does look a little bit messy as well. I think that aspect to a smoky eye looks really cool. But here I'm just going in and layering just in those key areas where I really want that foundation to stay put. And it's all really in preparation before going in and setting the foundation and the concealer, and just dibbling over and blending. And what I like to do is making sure that suddenly along the jawline area and merging and balancing the skin tone, I am going here with a little bit on the ears. This is from working on camera, making sure that any sort of discolorations, only on the tips of the ears, where some people can get sort of a little bit of redness or discoloration, it's really about evening out. And I'm just checking both sides as well, and stippling and blending. And before obviously setting any of the makeup, I'm going in with just a really nice flush of colour. This particular colour is like a dusky sort of plum kind of tone, but I wanted to go for something that was a little bit glow skin. And you can see here. And I'm balancing out with a little bit of lip liner and a colour that's just a couple of shades sort of deeper than the natural lip shade. And I'm just layering. It's all about that layering, going in with that pencil and really basing it out before putting any colour on. And then going in with a light wash of colour. This has got a little bit of gloss kind of texture to it, And I always think that for lips, it's just giving them that little bit of hydration as well. Just going on with that smaller brush to areas, and you can see got a really lovely natural glow. And to set those areas where I've gone in, before doing that, I'm just making sure that the under eye area is looking really nice and well blended. And I tend to go in either with a mattifying balm or a really nice finely milled powder and just really working that into key areas. You can see that I'm just gently stippling on the makeup into predominantly areas where I know that I really want to set the concealer and the foundation. And I want to leave some of that sheen on the skin because I think that's really important, but equally in that sort of centre panel and just underneath the eye, just making sure that I've set that in place. Really stippling and pressing and making sure it's looking really nice and even. And I always like to do these sort of light little final touches, and it's really important to then set the makeup, and I like going in with a setting spray generally. Not for everybody, depends on the look, but because I wanted this makeup to last into the evening, and I made sure that to go in with a light mist of setting spray, which you'll see in a second me doing, and really lightly pressing that in. And using that sort of light rolling action as I'm going in, like so. Now when you're going in with a setting spray, just make sure you're not overloading the spray too much before doing it. Just have a really light mist of it. What you don't want to be doing is oversaturating the skin too much with that spray. So just a really light mist over the skin, and you can see me doing that, just really gentle spritz on the skin, so you're covering but you're not overloading. And then what I like doing is going in, I've got a couple of fans in my kit, and I've got one of those here, and I'm just really making sure that that spray is softened out on the skin. And there we go, that's the finished look. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.